All right, welcome into PrizePicks on 5 here on the 5 Reasons YouTube channel. Thanks for liking and subscribing. We're just going to thank you in advance for that. I'm Ethan Skolnick. You can follow me at Ethan J. Skolnick in the 5 Reasons Sports. We got David Eversole. You can find him at David W. Eversole on Twitter, as long as Twitter exists. Make sure you use the code 5, F-I-V-E, get your initial deposit matched up to $100. This is free money. It's not a whole bunch of rollovers or anything like that. You don't need to play it all at once, but again, you get your initial deposit matched up to 100. So if you give them 100, they will give you 100. It's pretty nice how that works. You give them 20, they'll give you 20. Of course, we just did an episode on the Dolphins we gave you all the picks for Dolphins Browns. Check that out. You can pair NBA, NHL, all these sports together. NFL, you can do all of this together. Pick one from the Dolphins, one from the Heat if you want. We're going to do Heat Hornets tonight, second of a 2-game set. The Heat got pushed to overtime in the last game by a bad Hornets team. Looks like LaMelo Ball is going to play tonight, but as of now, none of the Hornets are on the board. I was going to tell you to play LaMelo under, so if he pops in there, make sure you play him under. He's shooting 35% in his career against the Heat. That's his worst percentage against any team. But let's get to the Heat picks here. I'm going to go a little against type for me. I've been kind of hard on Kyle Lowry this season. But again, with LaMelo Ball playing his first game, he hasn't really been much of a defender at times anyway. I'm going to go Kyle Lowry over 12.5 tonight. I keep saying it's got to happen eventually. You see, he's gone over there 3 of the last 5. So I guess it has happened eventually, but I'm going to go over on Kyle tonight. I'm a little questionable on the Jimmy number. He carried them the other night. He's at 23.5 tonight. I decided not to play that, or Bam at 18.5, or Caleb at 9.5. What do you like tonight, David?
On the Miami side, I like Jimmy actually, but on rebounds at 6.5. Charlotte is a 25th ranked rebounding team. They don't rebound the ball well outside of Plumlee, really. And I think Miami's going to be definitely having a decent night on the boards. At 6.5, I think that's a reasonable number for Jimmy. As you can see, he's been right around that average over the last 5, but he had 10 just 2 days ago against Charlotte. So I have little doubt he can get to at least 7 tonight in the matchup.
And I mentioned no Charlotte stuff is on the board yet, so we can't really play that at the moment. So let's go to some other picks tonight. You and I are both looking at that Houston-New Orleans game. I'm going over on C.J. McCollum. He's been struggling of late. Houston doesn't defend at all, though. I'm going to say 20.5 points, kind of number that he can hit. So I'm going to go over on C.J. You see, he's been under 4 of the last 5. He's been struggling. I expect him to get out of it a little bit. You like somebody on that game as well?
Yeah, actually, I like Jeremy Grant from that game. Also, like you said, Houston is a bad defensive team, and his shots are really increasing. He went from 10.5 shots a game in October. Now he's at 16 shots per game so far in 5 games in November, and his points per game are at a little over 23 this month. So he's trending in the right direction. I like to see guys that are getting increased volume as the season goes on. It's hard to judge sometimes in the early NBA season just because it's such a long season and guys will, go through up and downs. But if you look at his averages over the last 5, obviously he's been pretty solidly over that. So I like Grant a lot against a weak Houston defense, like you said. So I'm going to take him over 17.5.
All right, over 17.5. You can see the numbers go in the right direction. Looks like that was a wise move to give up the picks for Jeremy Grant. Use that code 5, F-I-V-E. There's plenty else on the board tonight. So if you don't like the Heat game, you can go to it and, of course, get in on those NFL picks. We got a whole bunch of them. Tua is still at 265.5 yards if you're interested in that. Make sure you use that code 5, F-I-V-E.